Hey there. Welcome to ShareTreck, where science meets investments, and I'm your host, Raj. Friends, for today, firstly, I'd like to wish you a happy Labor Day. And second, I'm going to talk about two companies or two stocks that are most likely to determine the future of the NASDAQ and S&P 500 or the indices as we see it. And those two are NVDA and AMD, because NVIDIA has had a disproportionate influence on the index. So what happens to NVIDIA could disproportionately affect the index. So let's take a look at these two stocks. Let's get started. Welcome back, friends. Here we are in the TradingView platform, and we are looking at NVIDIA. Each of these candles is a one-day candle. So with that said, at the very first glance, you can see a kind of reverse head and shoulder pattern. But I don't think that this reverse head and shoulder pattern is typical of a classic reverse head and shoulder pattern, because the shoulders are not below the head. So that's the first point that I see. And also there is increasing volumes on the second shoulder. So should we discount this head and shoulder pattern? I don't think so. We can't totally discount it, even though it's not a classic pattern. If you look at the market sentiment, you can see that it's absolutely bearish. If you look at the MACD, you can see that it's moving away from the signal line and it's super bearish. And momentum has also fallen below average, and its fall was very steep. So if you look at all of these aspects and the fact that price to earnings ratio is pretty high, and on top of it, if you put the reaction that the market has had post earnings for NVIDIA, you can see that the market was a bit disappointed about future earnings projections from NVIDIA itself. So there is a little bit of trepidation out there. And you take all of these together and then superimpose that on top of the fact that there is a lot of things going on in the economy and the environment in which NVIDIA is operating. If you consider NVIDIA as a global company, then definitely their China business is in a very compromised situation. China is a big market. So going forward, are we seeing in the next 3 or 4 months that the Chinese market is going to get opened up? Well, looking at the current SCO meeting happening in China, it doesn't seem like that. The other aspect is that Alibaba has come up with a better chip, and it has got higher cloud revenues. So it seems like in China, there is a parallel AI revolution going on. And if the chip is as good as NVIDIA or even close to it, then I think China doesn't need to have the H20 chips and those kind of things. So this is one thought that I'm keeping in mind. Apart from this, in the context in which NVIDIA operates, the next one is Europe, Asia, and United States. Now, if you look at Europe and Asia, if the tariff war continues, then sooner or later, there's going to be some impact on the economy, and as a result of which forward-looking investments might be cut down, which could impact NVIDIA. Is it going to happen tomorrow? I don't think so. Is it a sure thing? I don't think so, because NVIDIA chip itself is such a futuristic product that most of the countries would not like to put a tariff on it, because they would like their industries to use the chip and develop on the AI platform, which is the new industrial revolution. So that's one thought process that could happen. The other thought process could be like what India and China are thinking about. Like, we don't want to be dependent on the NVIDIA and the American infrastructure, because then we'll be captive to it. So they may try to develop their own. So these are the other thoughts that we look at. And then zooming in directly on US itself, we can see that in the last so many months, Trump has been sending troops to various cities under various pretexts. He's also been very aggressive in trying to take control of the Federal Reserve, and his demand is to cut interest rate. And if he gets his way, and cuts interest rates, I think that it's going to be very bad for the economy. It could be good for the real estate sector, but overall, from an inflation perspective, you could have runaway inflation coexisting along with reducing employment and wages, as a result of which you could enter into a stagflation environment. And the solution for stagflation in the past has not been rate cuts. It has been keeping rates high consistently for a longer period of time to kill the economy and push it into recession and then bring it back up again. So that is a very painful medicine I don't think anyone wants to take. So if I look at the overall situation of the relationship between the United States and the other countries, and the amount of focus that the government has had in actually handling the real economic situation like income distribution, social justice, and everything, it seems like there is a lot of unrest that is possible in the physical environment in which NVIDIA is operating. And if the markets start paying attention to that again, and if the layoffs that are going to happen because of the current tariff regime and implementation of AI, there's going to be a lot of people who are not going to get their salaries, and therefore a lot of systematic investments every salary cycle into index-based ETFs will start going down. And all of those can push the markets down and the indices down and NVIDIA down. So that's the story for both NVIDIA as well as AMD. So let me show you what's happening with AMD. AMD already has a double top for which I have put a target of 144.26. And we had a support at 163.27, which was holding it up. And we have fallen below that already. And we are at 162.63. So I'm thinking that on Tuesday, we have a resistance at 163.29, and our support is going to be this minor line of support, which I'm going to pull out this way, and it's going to be at around 157.01. And if we break down below that, then our next support, which is the target for the reverse head and shoulders, is going to be 143.91. So that's what I am looking at. And it is also supported by a bearish market sentiment, super bearish MACD, and also momentum, which is below average and dropping sharply. So the conjunction of all these factors and the forecast for NVIDIA and AMD together seems to make me believe that Monday, if we don't get some positive catalyst, then we are going to continue moving on our way down. Yeah, I would like to position myself accordingly. Friends, I would like to hear from you guys. What do you think? I have been a perma bear. I have felt a lot of pinch on my portfolio because my bearish positions are all red. So psychologically, I'm predisposed to being bearish, and I can recognize that as a retail investor. And I'm asking the entire ShareTreck community to put your thoughts in the comment section and give me some valid points to be bullish. And that would help me to rebalance my thought process. So that's it, my friends. And I'll catch up with you again in the next video very soon. Enjoy your holiday. Bye for now.